Robin's journey is one of those quiet miracles of the natural world that often unfolds right outside our windows, unnoticed and uncelebrated, yet shaped by forces far larger than any single bird. When people speak of the robin, they usually imagine the familiar American robin, a round-bodied songbird with a warm orange breast and a confident posture, hopping across lawns in search of worms. But behind this everyday image lies a story of movement, endurance, memory, and survival that stretches across an entire continent. A robin's migration is not a single dramatic flight from one place to another, but a living chain of small decisions, weather patterns, inherited instincts, and learned experiences, all woven together into a journey that has been repeated for thousands of generations. In early spring, when the ground is still cold and frost lingers in shaded corners, the first robins begin to appear in northern neighborhoods. Their arrival is so closely tied to the changing season that many cultures have long treated them as symbols of renewal and hope. Yet the robin has not suddenly appeared out of nowhere. It has traveled, sometimes hundreds or even thousands of kilometers, from wintering areas farther south. For many robins that breed across United States and Canada, the colder months are spent in milder regions, often including parts of Mexico and the southern United States. Migration for a robin is not a single, rigid route drawn on a map. Instead, it is a flexible response to food availability, temperature, and daylight, shaped by the geography beneath its wings. The journey often begins long before humans notice any change. As daylight slowly increases after winter, hormonal changes prepare the robin's body for movement. Fat stores increase, muscles strengthen, and restlessness grows. This biological preparation is essential, because migration is physically demanding even for a strong flyer. A robin may not travel as spectacularly far as some long-distance migrants, but its journey is still a test of endurance. The bird must balance the need to conserve energy with the urgent drive to reach breeding grounds before competitors claim the best territories. Every delay can mean fewer nesting opportunities and a reduced chance of passing on its genes. Unlike many birds that migrate in large, dramatic flocks, robins often move in loose groups or small waves. They travel mostly during the day, navigating through a complex landscape of forests, fields, rivers, and human-made structures. Their navigation is guided by a combination of internal biological clocks, the position of the sun, patterns of polarized light in the sky, and an inherited sensitivity to the Earth's magnetic field. None of these tools alone is perfect, but together they form a flexible system that allows a robin to adjust its direction when storms, mountains, or unfamiliar obstacles appear along the way. A young robin making its first migration faces a different challenge than an experienced adult. It has never seen its future breeding ground, yet it carries within its body a general directional program passed down through generations. This inherited map does not specify exact landmarks, but it provides a broad sense of where suitable habitat should be found. As the bird moves, it learns from experience. It recognizes the shape of valleys, the presence of water, and the patterns of vegetation that signal safe resting places. By the time the robin returns the following year, its journey is no longer guided only by instinct, but also by memory. The path northward can cross enormous and varied landscapes. Some robins pass near the vast northern forests of Alaska, while others travel through the open plains and rolling hills of the continent's interior. Many routes skirt the edges of the Rocky Mountains, where changing elevation and weather can suddenly transform a calm flight into a struggle against cold winds and thin air. Farther east, countless robins follow corridors shaped by rivers and the massive freshwater system of the Great Lakes, using these natural features as both guides and sources of food. Rest stops are as important as the flight itself. A robin cannot remain in constant motion for days without feeding. It must find patches of open ground where worms, insects, and early berries are available. In rural areas, this may be a forest edge or a wet meadow. In cities, it may be a park or even a well-watered lawn. One famous example of how migration intersects with human spaces can be seen in Central Park, where migrating birds, including robins, pause during their journeys, turning a small patch of green into a temporary refuge in the middle of dense urban development. These stopover sites can determine whether a tired bird successfully continues its journey or fails before reaching its destination. The dangers faced along the way are numerous and often invisible to casual observers. Sudden storms can force robins to land in unfamiliar territory, where food may be scarce and predators more common. Strong headwinds can dramatically increase the energy required for flight, exhausting birds before they reach safe shelter. Collisions with windows, communication towers, and other structures have become an increasingly serious threat as human development spreads across traditional migration corridors. Even artificial light at night can disorient birds, drawing them away from safe routes and into hazardous urban areas. Despite these challenges, most robins complete their journey successfully, guided by evolutionary experience that has refined their behavior over thousands of years. When a robin finally reaches its breeding territory, the next phase of the story begins almost immediately. Males arrive first, often choosing the best feeding and nesting areas and defending them with song and displays. Their clear, repeated calls are not only a declaration of ownership but also an advertisement to potential mates. Soon after, females arrive, and courtship begins, linking migration directly to reproduction and the future of the species. Nest building is an act of precision and patience. The female gathers grass, twigs, and leaves, shaping them into a cup that is reinforced with mud and lined with fine material. This carefully engineered structure must protect eggs from rain, wind, and temperature fluctuations, while remaining hidden enough to avoid predators. The location of the nest often reflects the quality of the journey that came before it. A bird that arrived early and in good physical condition can choose a safer, more resource-rich site, increasing the chances that its young will survive. For the newly hatched chicks, the migration of their parents is already part of their destiny. The timing of hatching must coincide with the peak availability of insects and soft-bodied prey. If climate conditions shift and spring arrives earlier or later than usual, this delicate match between food and breeding can be disrupted. Parents may struggle to find enough nourishment, and chicks may grow more slowly or fail to survive. In this way, changes in climate and habitat directly affect not only the journey itself but also the success of the next generation. As summer progresses, the frantic intensity of the breeding season gradually eases. Young robins leave the nest and begin exploring their surroundings, learning how to forage and recognize threats. Although migration may still be months away, the foundations for the next journey are already being laid. Juvenile birds develop muscle strength, refine their flight skills, and build the physical condition they will need for their first long movement across unfamiliar land. By late summer and early autumn, subtle changes in daylight once again trigger the hormonal signals that prepare the body for travel. The southward journey differs in mood and purpose from the spring migration. There is no urgency to claim breeding territories or find mates. Instead, the focus shifts to survival. Robins gradually move toward regions where winter food will remain available. Their diet also changes, relying more heavily on fruits and berries when insects become scarce. This seasonal flexibility in feeding is one of the reasons robins have been able to thrive in a wide range of environments, from forests and farmland to busy cities and suburban neighborhoods. Autumn migration is often less visible to people, even though it can involve large numbers of birds. Without the excitement of spring arrivals and breeding songs, the movement of robins passes quietly overhead and through tree lines. Yet this phase of the journey is no less demanding. Young birds must rely almost entirely on inherited orientation and what little experience they have gained during the summer. For many, this will be the most dangerous trip of their lives, as they learn for the first time how to navigate storms, avoid predators, and locate reliable food sources in unfamiliar landscapes. Climate change, in particular, is introducing new uncertainty into the robin's world. Warmer winters in some northern regions have allowed certain robins to remain closer to their breeding grounds year-round, reducing the need for long migrations. While this may seem beneficial, it also exposes birds to sudden cold snaps and unpredictable weather patterns that can be deadly when food is scarce. At the same time, earlier springs may encourage robins to begin their northward movement sooner, potentially increasing their exposure to late winter storms. The flexible nature of robin migration allows some adaptation, but the pace of environmental change may outstrip the species' ability to respond. Human awareness and conservation efforts are becoming increasingly important in shaping the future of these journeys. Protecting green spaces, maintaining native vegetation, and reducing unnecessary light pollution can significantly improve the safety of migration routes. Even small actions, such as making windows more visible to birds or preserving natural garden habitats, can contribute to a network of safe stopover sites. In a world where landscapes are rapidly transforming, the survival of long-standing migration traditions may depend on countless individual decisions made far from the birds themselves. The emotional power of the robin's migration does not come from dramatic aerial displays or exotic destinations, but from its persistence. Year after year, in the face of storms, predators, and a rapidly changing environment, these birds continue to follow ancient routes encoded in their bodies and refined by experience. Each successful journey represents a triumph of adaptation, memory, and biological design. It is a reminder that movement itself is a fundamental part of life, shaping not only where animals live, but how ecosystems function and renew themselves. In the end, Robin's journey is not just a story about a single bird flying from one region to another. It is a living narrative of connection between seasons, landscapes, and generations. It links distant forests and city parks, northern breeding grounds and southern winter refuges, parents and offspring, past and future. By paying attention to this remarkable migration, people gain more than scientific knowledge. They gain a deeper understanding of how fragile and interconnected the natural world truly is, and how the quiet passage of a small, orange-breasted bird can reflect the health and harmony of an entire continent.